In today's video, I want to take some time and talk a little bit about the day I chose to quit smoking weed. For those of you who are new to the channel, here at Addiction Mindset, we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, all things that I was once addicted to. So when I was growing up, my parents always told me like three basic things. Don't drink alcohol. Don't do drugs, and that included, don't smoke weed. And they said, don't ever smoke, don't ever use tobacco products. Now, naturally, as you just learned about me, I wound up doing all of these things. Growing up, when I was in grade school, I was never exposed to weed. I was never exposed to alcohol. I wasn't really exposed to drugs, okay? My first time being exposed to weed was probably in like 7th or 8th grade, and there was a kid at lunch in the cafeteria, and he got busted with weed, okay? And it turned out to belong to his parents. He had like an old school video camera, like a camcorder, and in the pocket of the video camera case, his parents had stashed some weed. And it turned out it did not actually belong to this kid. It belonged to his parents. That was the first time I really was ever exposed to weed. Now, fast forward, I go to high school, and this is the first time I'm really ever exposed to alcohol. And my parents told me, don't drink, don't drink, don't drink. And not only did they say, don't drink, they said, you can't drink. Like, you are not allowed to drink alcohol. And they were right. Legally, I truly wasn't allowed to. But I saw all my friends drinking alcohol, right? They'd sneak a water bottle full of vodka into the gym, or water bottle full of vodka to the high school dance. And the first time I drank, I had a great time. I was drinking with friends. I was younger. I didn't get sick. I just had a lot of fun. So now I start to question, wait a minute, why are my parents telling me not to do this? I had a great time. Why would have they told me not to do this? And yeah, you kind of felt maybe a little bit like a rebel, like you're just kind of going against the grain, right? I think we all wanted to disobey our parents at one point or another. Now, here's my parents, don't drink, don't smoke cigarettes, don't do drugs, don't smoke weed. Now all my friends get into tobacco products, chewing tobacco. And they're all talking about the head rush. And they're like, oh man, the first few times it feels like you're drunk. So being that I enjoyed drinking as much as I did when I was like 16, 17 years old, I said, I'll try tobacco. I tried it and I loved it. Day one, never threw up, never got sick. I said, oh my God, I love this feeling. I love this head rush. So here's my parents, and they're saying, you cannot drink, you cannot smoke, you cannot use tobacco. Don't do it. And I did it. And at that moment, I had no regrets. In fact, if anything, I was like, screw my parents, they're wrong. This stuff is awesome. Why were they hiding this from me my whole life? So now I get to college, and this is where my exposure to weed just increases. A lot of my friends in high school just didn't smoke weed. They didn't. I wasn't around a lot of weed in high school. And even when I was, I didn't really care. It was mostly alcohol. So when I got to college, I was probably, in my 20s or whatever. And I think the first time I smoked weed, I was about 21. And here I am again. And all my friends are starting to smoke weed now. And they're having an amazing time doing it. I can see the fun they're having. And all I'm thinking is my parents telling me, don't do that, don't do that. But now I'm like, wait a minute, screw that. I'm older now. I can do what I want. I'm not worried about getting in trouble or something like that. Like back when I would get caught drinking in high school, like I'm an adult now. I'm going to smoke weed. And I made that choice. I said, I can smoke weed and I'm going to. And sure enough, if you guys have watched my videos, I loved it. I smoked the first time with my friends. We were passing around a blunt. I remember sitting around a kitchen table, just dying laughing. Just one of the hardest times I've ever laughed in my life. Okay? And time went on, and I'm not going to go into it, but over time, I got very addicted to weed. It went from a weekend thing to a nightly thing. Then I got into the carts, and I got into, vaporizing units, like the volcano units, bong rips, just heavier stuff, dabs, all that stuff, okay? Now I have a problem, and I'm trying to quit. And I'm really struggling, and I'm struggling for two main reasons. Reason number one, I'm trying to hold on to those past times. I'm trying to recreate the first times I smoked. I'm trying to recreate those old memories. I'm not letting go of the past. Even though now that I'm at a point where addiction has taken over, I'll never recreate those first memories. The second problem that I had is when I was quitting, I kept telling myself, Frank, you can't smoke today. Frank, you can't do this. And that was really dangerous because that was no different from my parents telling me, Frank, you can't do this. And what do we do when someone tells us we can't do something? We want to do it more. It becomes even more tempting. And subconsciously, by telling myself, you can't smoke today, I was making myself all the more tempted to smoke today, all the more tempted to go against my own grain. And there's a second problem with that method of quitting that I was telling myself, you can't do this. It created feelings of deprivation, okay? So it felt like I was depriving myself of something. And what did I feel like I was depriving myself of? A substance that was once, a long time ago, affiliated with good times, affiliated with fun. So by telling myself I can't smoke weed, I was depriving myself of all those fun pastimes or all those fun experiences that I thought I could potentially recapture in the future. When I did finally successfully quit, there was a definite shift in mindset, and looking back, I recognize that now. And instead of saying, Frank, you can't smoke today, it became a choice. And that choice was, Frank, you're choosing not to smoke today. It's not that you can't. You can if you want to. But you're actively choosing not to because you're choosing to engage in activities, in relationships, and hobbies, in business, and pursue things that you actually want to be pursuing at this point in your life. You're choosing to put one thing aside, and you're choosing to actively pick up other things that are going to improve your quality of life, other things that are going to make you happy. And when I had that shift in mindset from telling myself I can't smoke weed to something rather I'm choosing not to smoke weed, there was no longer those feelings of deprivation. There was no longer those feelings of needing to go against the grain because I was the one making the conscious choice to stop. I wasn't forcing myself to, and I certainly wasn't being forced to by someone else. I was at a point in my life where I came to the realization that weed no longer fit. Weed no longer made sense in where I was at and where I was trying to go. So for those of you guys who are struggling to quit, switch from you can't do this today mindset to a mindset of choice. I choose not to smoke today because I choose to pursue X, Y, and Z things. I think that simple shift in mindset is going to go a really, really long way for a lot of you guys on this channel, and I really hope it helps. So drop a comment and let me know, is today the day you choose to quit smoking weed? I'll see you in the comments.